It doesn't get any more absurd than this. Right now, the GSA is holding yet another expensive convention. But wait, that's not even the worst part. Well, today GSA workers were gathering at a luxury hotel in Opryland. At the very same time, a House panel was meeting in Washington to discuss GSA overspending. The House committee hearing gained very heated very quickly. That is, despite a GSA's officials' attempt to outline the agency's new reforms.
Conference with anticipated costs over $100,000 require the approval of the Deputy Administrator. Any travel must be essential to the mission of the agency, such as conducting litigation or performing building inspections. Any travel for a routine internal meeting at GSA requires a waiver from the Administrator or the Deputy Administrator. We have canceled 37 previously scheduled conferences.
After the President issued his executive order, we found out there were 77 more conferences around the nation. I think the question the taxpayer wants answered is, why? Why are these agencies ignoring the President of the United States? Over 6,000 rooms at the Gaylord in Nashville. I understand the presidential suite is occupied today. Is there a GSA employee in the presidential suite?
I do not know.
It's over $3,000 a night. You don't know?
I don't know. I would hope not.
Ms. Metzler, my friend Mr. Denham, I know, is very thorough. I think you and I both know there is not going to be good news out of this conference. Somebody's saying in that damn suite tonight, I would almost guarantee you.
An employee with a base salary of $84,000, now listen to this, got $115,000 in overtime pay. There's something wrong in GSA when you have to pay an employee $115,000 in overtime.
Transportation Infrastructure Committee Chair John Mica joins us. Good evening, sir. And by the way, do we now know who's in that presidential suite, a GSA employee or not?
Still don't know. GSA does not cooperate with us, Greta. They sent a third level tier administrator today, only on the job a few months. The rest of them all ducked for cover.
All right. Now, there was that soundbite just moments ago where you talked about someone getting overtime pay of, what, $115,000?
Yeah, we were looking at bonuses, and then we stumbled across information, and actually the media helped us uncover this fox through Freedom of Information. They give us one set of answers, they gave the media, and we put it together. You start adding up some of these salaries, and you had people walking away with $250,000 with a low base salary in 1 year. The place is out of control.
But the insanity of that is that employee who had the $115,000 overtime on top of a base salary of $84,000, it would have been a far better deal if we had just hired a second person. We don't have to pay that person $84,000 to do the job. It would have been a savings.
But
that
would make sense. And this is an agency that doesn't make sense and is spun out of control. So the more we dig now, you know, Mr. Denham and I started when we took over a year and a half ago, trying to get information because their administrative costs had soared 300% in a year, and we wanted to know where the money was, and they kept stalling and stonewalling. But between the media,
who's the they? I mean, these are
GSA,
real people.
GSA.
I know, but there's got. I mean, we can't just. I mean, we've got to start like finding out who's doing it and do something about it.
The former administrator is gone. The building administrator is gone. Others are gone. They have been removed, fired, or retired.
But
they're
right
gone.
Now
we're on a second level of scandal, and no one showed up from that second level of scandal. There are people who were on tape with the $20,000 drumsticks at that event, $35,000 worth of picture frames. One person took medical leave last Friday. I've had to reschedule that hearing 3 times.
But okay, so we've got a new flock who's supposedly now running the place, and I might add that, by the way, the statistics coming out of that hearing today is that the GSA gobbles up 10% of all the federal government bonus checks and only reflects 1% of the total force. But anyway, so we're now to like Group 2 running the GSA since the scandal broke.
We're down to 3 because the second tier has been involved in these latest scandals, and they won't come forward, and some of them are stepping aside.
Why in the world do we need a, quote, smart pay conference right now going on in Opry, wherever it is, wherever why do we need? What's a smart pay conference?
We wouldn't know about any of these if we hadn't started digging before.
But what is it?
You got me on that one. That's why I've got 2 investigators and the Inspector General today. We asked him to get to the bottom of it too. So we've got to make certain, first of all, the people who've been responsible for going on with these expensive, wasteful conferences are held at bay. Then we've got to make certain that this doesn't happen again and change the law or administrative practice that sets the agency's policy.
All right, here's what I know about what I've read about the conference, this Smart Pay conference. I don't know how smart it is for us to be paying for it, I might add parenthetically, but so what this Smart Pay training, it's a training conference, and it's for banks investing in the agency's so-called Smart Pay system, but also invites a range of officials within the GSA. So who's paying for the banks to attend? Do we know that? I hope we're not. We're not, right?
Right now, at this point, I have no idea, Greta, but that's what our investigation, we open, you know, one door and we find 4 or 5 more scandals. So this thing is mushrooming out of control. And this is only, the conferences are only the tip of the iceberg. This agency controls 14,000 properties, buildings, many of them you helped me focus on being vacant, underutilized, losing millions of dollars. That's $1 billion loss.
Which is, I mean, the whole insanity, like every time we need office space, instead of using the empty buildings we have, we go out and rent buildings. I mean, it's like every place you look, it's like more inefficient and more wasteful. It's other people's money. That's the problem. It's other people's money. It's taxpayers.
It's right here in Washington in 3 empty buildings, 1-2 blocks from the White House. A huge building, empty 15 years. Recently at the power facility, 2 acres behind the Ritz-Carlton in Georgetown, vacant for 11 years. We're going to do one on Monday in Miami in a courthouse that's been vacant for 5 or 6 years.
You know what the irony is that the GSA, how much did they make getting bonuses total last year?
Well,
about 44. Is it 44 million?
44 million.
Just for GSA
the press
for bonuses.
helped us find 34. They told us it was only 10 million. And
but
I'm sorry, they helped us find 30 million. That gets us to 44. Now that's 10% of all the bonuses, and they have 1% of the employees.
But you usually get a bonus for doing a really good job.
Wait.
I mean, that's sort of the theory behind a bonus. Is like, you know what, you did a terrific job.
Now wait. Some of the guys on the different levels of the scandal were getting the $50,000 bonuses, and those, one of them at least resigned last week because he didn't want to come before us this week.
I hope that the GSA, if they're not staying in that fancy suite tonight, that someone calls, let us know, because obviously everybody's suspicious. Congressman, thank you, sir.
Thanks for staying on top of it with us.
Thanks, sir. And what else does the GSA have to say for